Rain lashed against the windows as I stood frozen, the stranger's words hanging in the air like a challenge. Tomas's eyes, red-rimmed from the storm, locked onto mine, his gaze burning with a fire that seemed to echo through decades. The wooden box, wrapped in oilcloth, sat on my table like a relic from another era, its contents a mystery that had haunted a family for generations. As I reached for the box, my hands trembled, the weight of the unknown settling upon me like a shroud, promising a revelation that would unravel the very fabric of my family's history and forever alter the course of my life. As I lifted the lid, a faint scent of salt and wood wafted out, carrying with it the whispers of the past. The carving of the little dog, Belle, lay nestled in a bed of yellowed cloth, her wooden fur worn smooth by the touch of countless hands. I gently lifted her out, feeling the weight of her small body and the intricate details of the carving. The wood was cool to the touch, and I could sense the patience and dedication that had gone into crafting her. Tomas's eyes never left mine, his gaze a mixture of sadness and determination, as if he had carried the weight of this promise for so long. It had become a part of him. I turned the carving over, studying it from every angle, and that's when I saw it, a small inscription on the bottom, worn but still legible. For Emily, with gratitude. My heart skipped a beat as I realized that this carving, this small wooden dog, was meant for me, or rather for my grandmother, Emily. The stranger's words came flooding back. The keeper kept his word. Now she's finally home. But as I looked up at Tomas, I saw a glimmer of something else in his eyes, a hint of a story yet untold, a reason why he had waited 40 years to fulfill this promise. And then, just as the silence between us was becoming uncomfortable, he spoke, his voice low and measured. There's more to the story, more that you need to know. As Tomas's words hung in the air, the rain outside seemed to intensify, drumming against the windows like a restless heartbeat. I felt a shiver run down my spine, a sense of foreboding that I couldn't quite explain. The carving of Belle, still clutched in my hand, seemed to grow heavier, as if it was a key to a door that was about to be flung open, revealing secrets and stories that had been locked away for decades. Tomas's eyes, still burning with an inner fire, seemed to bore into mine, as if searching for something, a spark of recognition, a glimmer of understanding. I took a step back, my mind racing with questions, but Tomas's voice, low and hypnotic, drew me back in. You see, the keeper's promise was not just about returning a carving to its rightful owner, he said, his words dripping with an unspoken significance. It was about keeping a memory alive, a memory that had the power to change the course of lives. As he spoke, the room seemed to grow smaller, the shadows cast by the flickering lights twisting into strange, ominous shapes. I felt myself being pulled into a world of secrets and stories, a world that was both familiar and yet utterly alien. And then, just as I thought I was about to uncover the truth, Tomas's eyes locked onto mine, and he said, "But there's someone else who needs to be here, someone who's been waiting a long time for this story to be told." As Tomas's words trailed off, the rain outside seemed to reach a crescendo, pounding against the windows like a relentless drumbeat. I felt a shiver run down my spine, a sense of unease that seemed to seep into my bones. The carving of Belle, still clutched in my hand, seemed to grow colder, as if it was a fragile thread connecting me to a past that was about to unravel. Tomas's eyes, still burning with an inner fire, seemed to bore into mine, as if searching for a spark of courage, a glimmer of determination. And then, just as I thought I was about to uncover the truth, the door behind me creaked open, and a figure stepped into the room. It was an old woman, her face lined with age and experience, her eyes clouded with a mist of memories. She moved slowly, her steps deliberate, as if she was carrying the weight of decades on her shoulders. Tomas's eyes locked onto hers, and he nodded, a small, almost imperceptible smile playing on his lips. "Emily," he said, his voice low and gentle, "this is the moment we've been waiting for." The old woman's eyes, still clouded with memories, locked onto mine, and I felt a jolt of recognition, a sense of connection that seemed to transcend time and space. And then, in a voice that was barely above a whisper, she spoke, "I've been waiting a long time for this story to be told, a long time to remember." The room seemed to grow quieter, the shadows cast by the flickering lights twisting into strange, expectant shapes. I felt myself being pulled into a world of memories, a world that was both familiar and yet utterly alien. And as I looked into the old woman's eyes, I knew that I was about to uncover a truth that would change my life forever, a truth that would shatter the fragile threads of my family's history and reveal a story that had been hidden for decades, a story that would finally set us free. As the old woman's words hung in the air, the rain outside seemed to slow to a gentle patter, as if the storm itself was holding its breath in anticipation. The carving of bell, still clutched in my hand, seemed to grow warmer, as if it was a key that had finally found its lock. The old woman's eyes, clouded with memories, locked onto mine, and I felt a sense of connection that seemed to transcend time and space. Tomas's eyes, still burning with an inner fire, seemed to bore into mine, as if searching for a spark of understanding. And then, in a voice that was barely above a whisper, the old woman spoke. "I remember the night the lighthouse went dark, the night bells saved those sailors. I remember the keeper's vow, his promise to carve her in wood and return her to us." The room seemed to grow quieter, the shadows cast by the flickering lights twisting into strange, expectant shapes. I felt myself being pulled into a world of memories, a world that was both familiar and yet utterly alien. The old woman's eyes seemed to glaze over, lost in the mist of memories, as she continued, "I remember the keeper's grandson, a young boy who would come to visit us, who would tell us stories of his grandfather's bravery." Tomas's eyes locked onto the old woman's, and he nodded, a small, almost imperceptible smile playing on his lips. "That was my father," he said, his voice low and gentle. "He told me the stories, passed down the promise, and I've waited 40 years to fulfill it." The old woman's eyes snapped back into focus, and she reached out a trembling hand, her fingers brushing against the carving of bell. "She's home," she whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. "She's finally home." As I looked at the old woman, at Tomas, at the carving of bell, I felt a sense of resolution, a sense of closure. The story that had been hidden for decades was finally out, and with it, a weight had been lifted. The keeper's promise had been kept, and Belle was finally home. I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a sense of gratitude towards Tomas, towards the old woman, towards the keeper who had made the vow so many years ago. And as I looked out the window at the rain-soaked world outside, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again, that this story, this moment, would stay with me forever. As the story of Belle comes to a close, I'm reminded that some promises can take a lifetime to keep. If you've ever had to wait for a promise to be fulfilled, or if you've ever kept a promise that changed someone's life, we'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Subscribe for more stories that will touch your heart and stay with you long after the video ends.